Hi, I'm Niko Ana Jeanne, and today we're going to talk about how narcissistic trauma can actually be a catalyst for you to go even deeper and heal even more in your life, and possibly even reach a higher potential than you would have if you hadn't experienced this trauma. And I know that sounds really kind of, harsh, right? Like, what? No, that can't be true. But before we jump into the topic, I just want to welcome you to my channel. I want to thank you for being here. And I want to ask you, if you haven't already, if you get benefit out of this video, if you like my channel, please subscribe. So let's talk about just the idea of trauma in general. Trauma being a word that just means that there's an experience you've had somewhere in your life that created some type of disruption in your nervous system and created all kinds of behaviors and responses that then in the future typically will cause you problems, pain, discomfort, problems in relationships, problems functioning, problems putting yourself out there in the world, obstacles and challenges around succeeding, just all kinds of things, all sorts of problems that can come from this kind of trauma. And typically when you think of that, you think, wow, that's actually really not a good thing, right? That actually puts me at a disadvantage, right? If I hadn't had this trauma from this certain kind of abuse, then maybe I'd be farther along in my life. I know you're thinking all those things, right? You're thinking like, I got the short end of the stick, or I'm a victim, right? I mean, yeah, we have to all go through that. And it's really important to be able to move through those spaces of feeling that, yes, in fact, I was victimized. Yes, in fact, it was abuse. Yes, in fact, it did put me at a disadvantage. But then what happens is if you can actually move past that space and you can go into this other space that is a space of like going deeper and really looking at the overview of your life and saying, well, you know what, actually, wow, there's a lesson inside this particular kind of trauma. Let me give you an example. For instance, the specific kind of trauma that narcissistic abuse brings to us is the kind of trauma where we don't understand that the person, the narcissist, whether it could be a person, it could be an organization, it could be an entity, was our source. They were our source. They are our source. They were our source of any kind of resource: physical, mental, emotional, money, shelter, prestige, all sorts of things. It could just even be emotional. It doesn't even have to be like a physical representation. But when we believe that this person or organization is our source, and then we allow ourselves to stay in that toxicity because we feel like we don't have a choice, because we feel like, well, we need this source of blank, whatever it is, and I can't, so I don't have a choice, right? It's this or that, right? It's be abused or not have this source and suffer. And that's very black and white thinking. That's very much where the primal brain is, the amygdala, right? The amygdala, that part of your brain that is about survival. There's only two choices for the amygdala: live or die. Do you see the connection? Live or die. That's it. There's nothing in between. There's no other choice. So when you're able to start shifting your brain, like literally creating new neurology, learning to interrupt the patterns of the fight or flight response, the amygdala, the primal brain, as we learn to repattern our brain to respond differently to our world, then other possibilities start opening up. These other spaces in our life start opening up that we never would have seen before. So then all of a sudden, it's not just black or white. It's not just black or white. All of a sudden, it's not just be abused or lose this essential resource. It's like, wait a minute, there's a whole other world of resources out there. Not only did I realize, and I'm saying that this is me and you, this could be you. Not only did I realize that I'm my own source. I'm my own source. It's always been here, right? Not only did I realize that, but I also realized that there's all these other resources that I can have access to in the world and in my life that are completely separate from the world of the narcissist and always were there. So you see how when you're in that abusive pattern, you are definitely, your brain gets patterned to only think black or white. And then because of the trauma and because you're brave and you did some work and like I don't know what you did, but I know you did something if you're here or you're thinking about it. You made some changes and maybe you're in pure survival, like, okay, I survived. Right? It's like, okay, well, I survived, but now what? Now what? So all these spaces are opening up for you now, these new potentials. And if you think about how some people in life, they stay pretty comfortable. And I'm not saying it's bad or wrong to have had a comfortable life, but let's just say that if you had grown up in a certain kind of family where everything was perfect and everyone was happy and supported, I mean, I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm just saying, what if, that type of environment might have made you so comfortable that you wouldn't have stretched yourself out to where you are now. You would never have thought any differently than you do now. So the pain of trauma, because it can be so severe, it causes us to like get interrupted, and it causes us to question so many things we would not have questioned before. We question our identity. We question our place in the world. We question our purpose. We question so many things. We question our very existence. Sometimes we even go so far as to say, am I even worthy of being in the world? The pain of that trauma takes us there. And then when we say, finally, yeah, actually, I am worthy. And actually, I am so awesome that I was able to do what I did in life, to be where I am now, despite this trauma. Like that actually makes me a really resilient person. That makes me like a really strong, amazing human being, that I was able to do that I didn't end up, in a really bad place, like mentally ill myself, or abusing other people myself, or maybe even considering committing suicide, something extreme like that. Like I actually survived and moved into my life and was able to do what I do now, which whatever that is that you're doing right now, believe me, it's a miracle that you're there and that you're functioning at the level that you are. So what I'm saying to you is that depending on where you are right now as you're watching this, I want you to know that whatever pain you've experienced from this trauma has actually opened up more possibilities for you. It has created more spaces that you never would have known are there. And it's caused you to go deeper in yourself and connect with that true core of your being. And not a lot of people do that if they're not really pushed to do it. Most people don't change their life unless they're suffering or they hit some rock bottom. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's good that you were abused. No, it's not good. I'm not saying it's good that you had trauma. Nobody wants it. But what I'm saying is, turn bits of rubble into gold. Like embrace the fact that you have become an amazing person because of the trauma experience. And now you can go even further. There's an even better level. Now it's time to tap that potential in your DNA, that potential that lives in the cells of your body, that knows where you can go next, to your higher level self, to the highest potential you have as a human being on this earth in this lifetime. Wouldn't that be cool? We'll talk more about this in another video, but anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this content. And again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Make some comments below. We'll talk soon. Bye.